So what happens to your brain when you eat psychedelic mushrooms? That's what we're going to explore in today's video. You probably remember that there used to be these anti-drug advertisements on TV that showed a fried egg. This is your brain on drugs, it said. We know that that was hyperbole. We know that it was exaggerated. We know that it's not exactly true, especially when it comes to mushrooms, that mushrooms are in fact great for your brain. And in this video, we'll dig into what really happens to your brain when you eat psychedelic mushrooms, so you understand the neurobiology behind psilocybin and how it impacts the brain. However, before we dig in, make sure to click the button to subscribe to Third Wave's YouTube channel. A lot of the science is still unclear, but here's what we know about how psilocybin affects the brain. First of all, psilocybin is metabolized into a substance called psilocin. Psilocybin binds to the serotonin 5-HT2A receptors. It's one of 14 serotonin receptors in the brain, and it also interacts with dopamine, histamine, and adrenergic receptors in the brain. The 5-HT2A receptor is involved with a number of functions, including your sensory systems, your memory, bodily sensations, cognition, planning, goal seeking, and learning. It's also involved in the development of deeper brain structures involving instinct and body regulation. The 5-HT2A receptor is also involved in blood flow throughout the body. In fact, a study in Nature showed changes in cerebral blood flow with fMRI in people with depression when they worked with psilocybin. And so what that means is less blood flow to the amygdala, which is a fear and anxiety center in the brain. When there's less blood flow to the amygdala, it seemed to reboot the neural networks that are involved with depression. What psilocybin also helps with is other networks in brain areas that helps them talk to each other. So there's this phenomenal graphic from Imperial College which shows a brain on placebo and a brain on psilocybin, and it shows this incredible cross communication between both hemispheres of the brain. And changing that communication, changing the blood flow, actually creates a new perception of reality. And so that's what we think is responsible for synesthesia and visuals when you take psychedelic mushrooms, or even when you take LSD, because there's communication between both hemispheres of the brain. What this also does is it changes how you perceive your own life and your own challenges and your own problems. By increasing communication between the different networks, it actually might be easier to see patterns in a totally new way. This is what we call pattern recognition. Within this process, psychedelics, psilocybin mushrooms in particular, take the default mode network offline. And so the default mode network is the network in our brain that helps with our default exercises or default behaviors. It's a powerful neural network that makes up your daily life modes, but oftentimes it becomes too rigid, becomes too controlling. And when that happens, we struggle with depression, we struggle with anxiety, we struggle with these sort of things. And so when we work with psilocybin, it decreases the activity of the default mode network, allowing new connections and patterns to form. And this often helps people to get out of the rut of anxiety and depression. And I'm going to talk about a metaphor here that I think will help you to even better understand it. With this default mode network, we're often going through life on the same tracks again and again and again. Almost like when we go on a ski hill or a snowboarding hill, we get to that top of that hill and we just follow the same hill, we follow the same path down the hill because it's there, it's the rut, and it's what we're used to. Now, when we take something like a psilocybin mushroom, what happens is it's almost like there's a fresh layer of powder that goes on that mountain. And when there's that fresh layer of powder, all of a sudden we have way more choice and agency and ability to pave a new path. It gives you way more choice about meditating more often, or changing your diet, or quitting smoking. All of this is possible as a result of what's happening with psychedelics in your brain. If you do want to go into even more information on science-based best practices for safely using psilocybin for personal growth and healing, you may be interested in Third Wave's microdosing course. You can get that for a phenomenal step-by-step guide to bring you through a microdosing protocol. Or if you want to grow your own medicine, if you want to grow your own mushrooms, Third Wave has a mushroom grow kit, which is an easy to use, simple and fast way to secure your own reliable source of medicine. And that comes with a mushroom grow course as well. So again, thank you for watching today's video on psilocybin in the brain. It's been fascinating to talk through the default mode network, to talk about the 5-HT2A serotonin receptors and how psychedelics help to create more connectivity between both hemispheres of the brain. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to stay up to date on the third wave of psychedelics, subscribe to this channel and visit thethirdwave.co, where you'll find plenty of free resources on intentional and responsible psychedelic use.